why don't we trust ourselves in Africa to trade? Because, truth be told, a lot of Africans lack integrity. That's the honest truth. Whether we want to admit it or not. If you go online on social media, for instance, every day there is one person swindled this person. I paid for this and they gave me this. I gave you money for A, I got W. And that has to deal with the integrity of the African person. So please, integrity and excellence, those should be the key words. Those are values that everyone should strive to live by. If we can have these two, Africa will be a different continent for different times. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No longer be limited to our raw materials, but we find minds from the emerging young population that we are having from Africa. To this end, we must embrace a new shift. We must move from consuming what the world creates to creating what the world must consume. I'm going to say that again. We need to make a shift as Africans from consuming what the world creates, and I hope the ECOWAS will hear this with us. We need to go beyond consuming what the world creates to ensuring that the world consumes what we create. It is critical for us to say to ourselves, we must stop depending on foreign systems to becoming architects and designers of our own future.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Am I supposed to start or wait? I've been told I have 30 minutes, so we're just like 1:55. So I'm conscious of time.
System in Africa. My name is Aisha Ademoaudi, the Director General of the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization. And our job is to continue to promote, to preserve, and propagate African arts, culture, history, and civilization. Thank you for having me.
And we're a conglomerate with vested interest in construction, real estate, agriculture, logistics, media, technology, and so on. So it's good to see you all here. Thank you.
Thank you. And be in charge of our faith. So today we're just going to explore the opportunities that AFTA creates for us. And my first question, I'm just going to do the ladies first because I have one lady with me. I value gentlemen as well, but I'm just trying to, because we know that the power of women is great for the continent. So to you, Aisha, you are in the sector that is transformative in its own right. It's about culture, it's about arts. Can you just let us, educate us how you see your sector and the influence it could have on AFTA and on the continent?
Thank you so much, Patricia. Starting with me, so I'll just give a bit of background. Apart from the arts and cultural background of mine, I'm a photographer, I'm a storyteller, and a communication strategist. And I happen to have advised the Minister of Finance. So I was part of the team during the AFCFTA policy creation and support systems and all of that. So that luckily has been able to combine with the creative and cultural space. We have natural resources, we have all the resources you can think of, even human resources that should be able to move across Africa. And you see paperwork constraints. So I'll give an example. Someone in Egypt who pushes fruits and flowers across Africa found it very hard because of the level of documentation, the amount of paperwork that he would need from country to country to country. And this is where creativity and innovation comes in. Instead of it to deter him from doing the business, he decided to start a business with a colleague on just sorting out paperwork for people to be able to move across Africa. And this was ahead of Africa. So if we're looking at that, we're looking at how do we use cultural and creative diplomacy to, first of all, because someone, the ambassador from Gambia, our High Commissioner from Gambia, did mention like Nigeria being an Afrobeats nation. People didn't need to come to Nigeria to get to know that. So what culture does for you, creativity and culture, is it introduces you to the people ahead of time. And I strongly believe Africa can use that to open up more doors for mutual understanding between ourselves. And the more we get to understand what we have, what we share together, and what our differences are, it allows the Africa Free Continental Free Trade Agreement to even be easier and faster, because we're doing this as brothers and sisters. So I think that would be my own contribution for now. Thank you.
Oh my God, thank you. Yes, thank you. And you know what you just said, actually, I can corroborate that because I work for Africa Finance Corporation. Sorry?
Hello? And we have the panel discussion. You can send it across to one of the ushers so we can have it more collated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, yes. I can't. Back on? Hello? Okay. So I was just going to say.
Just this one.
Oh, okay. Hello? Hello?
Hello. I just want to go.
Hello? Okay. Thank you. So I was saying that just to corroborate the point about culture, I work for Africa Finance Corporation, and we have 24 nationalities represented here in Lagos in my organization. And one of the first things when I'm trying to bring people from other African countries, they are horrified, they are scared of coming to Lagos. And then one of the things they tell me is they are excited, but their families are watching our movies and they're scared about all the other things they see, that the fetish thing. But when they come, they're so excited. The ambassador was saying about the African culture, the Nigerian outfit, the weddings. All of them are begging me to invite them to Nigerian weddings. Please, if you have a wedding, let me know so I can bring my colleagues so that they can tie the gele. So the culture is really important in decoding and demystifying what's going on. So I'm going to just turn to my right. You are a serial entrepreneur. I'm not sure if you have considered the opportunities that AFTA represents for your business. And if so, what are they? And if not, why not?
Okay. Hello. Hello. God, I beg. Okay. When it... Jesus Christ. It's on. Hello. Okay, when it comes to business and entrepreneurship across the continent of Africa, I think one of the barriers is red tape. And that's because we have a lot of representatives from African organizations. Hello, okay, so permit me to speak freely. Now, governments in Africa, for lack of a better word, are uncoordinated. And that's because while we, preach the need to cooperate on a continental level, we've actually not sat down to create the necessary steps to be able to actualize that. And what I mean is, if you pick any 5 African countries at random, Nigeria, Gambia, South Africa, Ghana, Niger, whatever, pick 5 at random, you find out that the interests, the national interests of each one of these nations differs. And because of that, it's difficult to coordinate without having the necessary framework to be able to create that coordination. So what you see mostly is that there is, rather than finding out, okay, what are your national interests to be able to align African trade to it, you see more of a dictation. You should do this. This is how you should operate. And of course, we are Africans, and by our very nature, we're proud people. So when you come to dictate to us what we should do without taking into account our interests, we're going to fight that. There's no two ways about it. So the first step should be, number 1, identify the national interests of each African country. What are your core? Because if you listen to the way the Americans talk, the first thing you would always hear their government say is US interests, our national interests. They don't care what yours are, but it's all about us. So we need to identify our national interests across Africa. When we do that, then we do what in business we call a SWOT analysis. You identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If you're able to segment them across those lines, it becomes much easier to then know areas of cooperation, areas in which, for instance, Nigeria and Mali can align, Nigeria and South Africa, because it's unrealistic to expect that we would cooperate across the board. It's not realistic. Regardless of how we want it to happen, it's not realistic. So we need to be specific, start from there, and then build it up. Because the main thing that facilitates trade is trust. Without trust, you can't have trade. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's very, very realistic, very practical. One of the things that we also need to remember is the power that we have. The continent needs to understand that we have to collaborate. We have over 4 billion people. They've told us that we can't export without some tariffs. We need to understand that Lesotho, a small country that was exporting jeans to the US, and it was slammed with 37% tariff. They need to know that there is a market on the continent. I think that's one of the things we'll be saying. We have 4 million people, 4 billion people. They are exporting jeans to America, Levi's jeans that we buy. They don't need to export those jeans because that's the market. And one of the things we need to do is to actually educate our minds that we can buy African and proudly wear Africans. So I'm just hearing, I want to move to my next panelist to say, in terms of AFTA, a lot of the infrastructure that we require include payment system. To transfer money from Ghana to Nigeria or Ghana to somewhere else, there are some, even from Nigeria to Nigeria bank, there are issues. You are in that space. How does payment system contribute to free trade amongst African countries?
Okay, thank you very much. Before I even start speaking, I will give a typical example of the bottlenecks even we in the payment system face here in Africa. So for Piazza, the time we tried to get our license in Canada, give and take, it took us about 2.5 months and everything was done. This same process took us over 2 years to get in Kenya, and same thing in Ghana. So imagine how frustrating that could be, and looking at this across 54 countries, if you try to equate 2 years per country, it means you will not get licensed in all these countries even before you die. So that's the reality of things. But the honest truth is that the requirements of almost every country is basically the same, but there is no reliance on the data from Nigeria to be used in Ghana, no reliance on the data in Ghana to be used by Kenya. So you have to go through the same thing in every different country, and sometimes it's really, really frustrating. But honestly, one thing that people really want is just an easy way to make payments, which is what fintechs come in to do. We're not trying to make the complex system of going to the bank to make withdrawals, and the way the world is now, only like 10% of the world actually exchanges currency in hard cash. Most of it is done online. So you need to find a way to facilitate online payments. But try to change Naira to the cedis now, and I tell you, there's really no way to do it. You have to use cash to go to the bank and do all of that. But in Europe, you can change the Danish kronos to the Polish currency in 5 seconds, and you have it. But that cannot happen in Nigeria. If I take my Naira to Cameroon, nobody even wants it. But when I take the US dollar there, everybody is happy with the US dollar. And you can't really blame anyone, because there is no interrelationship between these countries that necessitates the need for these currencies. So as a payment gateway, what we enable and how we facilitate this is that we have licenses in these countries which enables us actually move funds in these countries. So we have positions in these countries that can help us facilitate quick exchanges of funds while we handle all the risk that comes with the foreign exchange and all of that. So it's not easy because it involves having to work with so many currencies at the same time. But it's also fun. Okay, but the fact it facilitates, thank you. Hello. Okay. So the aim is just to make quick payments across these countries, and once quick payments can be made, we all agree that it's going to facilitate trade among countries. If I can get the good and pay for it in maybe 5 seconds, I'm sure that will enable the buyer, enable the seller to actually want to deal with me next time. So people really want quick movement of funds, which is what payment gateways facilitate, and that is what we do at Piazza and all other fintechs. So enabling the fintechs, making things easier for the fintechs to operate, to actually facilitate these trades amongst all of these countries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to add to what my colleague has said. I think it's hard time Africans start believing in Africa. It's because of the freedom and the trust in Africa that Africa don't believe in Africa. If Africa starts believing in Africa, all these things will be very easy. But we decide to believe in Europe, we decide to believe in America. If America come here, a white guy come here, we believe him more than our fellow Africans. So that's why we have a lot of victims in a lot of places. If you go to Europe, they are selling 5 years, 10 years visions for you. How many visions are we selling in Africa? We're not selling on anything. We're only selling today. How can it benefit me today? That's why you have to pass 2 years, 3 years to have a approval in 1 or 2 places. Because they don't benefit them. We don't think about what of 3 years, 20 years. So I think it's hard time Africans start believing in Africa and start selling our vision and believe in that thing that you, as a person, have produced or achieved. With that, give African 10 years, 20 years, we'll get there. We're already taking lead, just that the rest of the world don't want to know, or they don't care to know because we don't believe in ourselves. But I tell you, even if it's one person that believes in himself here after this session, it's going to be a very big plus to the African community. Thank you so much. Mike, ask me one question.
Thank you for the amplification and for making that point, because if you look at even visas, when you go to South Africa as a Nigerian, you need a visa. When you use, I have another passport. If I use another passport, to my shame, I don't need a visa.
You don't
need a visa. And like Kenya has just lifted visa requirements, and I think also Rwanda
Gambia.
and Ghana has done that. These are Gambia. Exactly. So
the entire continent.
The entire-
The entire continent. Gambia.
Exactly.
You get an African passport. You don't need
You don't need a visa because the person from Europe doesn't need a visa, and you're standing in the queue ashamed because he or she is walking through and you are waiting. So on that point, do you I think did you want to expand on that and just tell us what are the other barriers that we need to start thinking about? If all the decision makers are hearing us, we don't want to keep moaning. We want decision making to go into action. We want to stop talking. Please, let's record this, and organizers, we are relying on you to share all these ideas with decision making bodies so that we can actually make leaps and bounds and go forward rather than just keep debating.
Okay, to add on to that, I would like to repeat that. For the very young in the country that His Excellency here represented. But I have been a very proud Gambia. And for the fact that we are one of the first countries in the entire continent that said to the world that as long as an African, we do not need a visa to come to Gambia. That was the goal in all countries forward. So coming back to the story, I have been one of the few people that have been selected by the US government, 10 African business leaders, young business leaders. We were in the US, we stayed there for 2 weeks, and just next month we'll have a lot of Angola. People like us with dual nationalities, we have passport that doesn't require a visa to go to Angola. So here's a very funny thing. I am the only one on that selected people with a different nationality, which is British. But every other person, Nigerian, Ghanaian, Zambian, Botswana, require a visa to go to Angola. Every single person in that group of 10 people invited by the US has to apply a visa to go to Angola. And me with a British passport, far away from the continent, doesn't require a visa to go to Angola. It is very emotional. And I don't know why anyone will think this is okay. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Even Gambia, Senegal to Gambia, I'll give you an example about the move of trade. We started a first commodity business in my own brand, Ragnar, with this name after my late home. So I was importing food and repackaging it in a different continent. And Senegal being one of the countries. I have to get a company in Senegal called Patterson to get our products in my own brand. But by far the hardest thing I've actually experienced was moving goods from Senegal to Gambia. Literally less than 2 miles away from it. But giving an example of me getting a product all the way from Thailand, literally is far easier in Holland to get goods from Senegal to Gambia. And you talk about it, you see that as an entrepreneur, and it's just so frustrating in such a way whereby you don't know why it doesn't make anyone to think that the things that we do for each other changes how we live. It is just a common thing, but no one is getting it.
Wow. Yes, thank you very much for that addition. I think you wanted to add a point, just so that we can.
I think this is where we come in as the Center for Black and African Arts and Civilization, because we didn't just wake up and find Africa this way. So this is one of the reasons why history is important. We have to look at what we went through and the colonialism and how things were prepared Because I can give a simple example. I'm from Kebbi State in northern Nigeria. The border between me and Niger Republic is less than 5 hours from my village. But to fly there, it takes me 24 hours. I have to go to another country to get to Niamey. So these are issues that I believe if we look at history and the way our policies were curated, the separation of Francophone and Lusophone and Anglophone countries, this is where Africans need to remember the fact of storytelling and how we present ourselves and how the world has also presented us. I went to school in Nigeria, primary school, secondary school, university, and some people even ask me, how are you so confident? Did you go to school abroad? Like, it's automatically assumed that you did not go to school in Nigeria if you speak well, if you write well, or you present yourself in a certain manner. And these are the issues that affect even our young people. You can't have confidence in yourself if you don't even know your own history. If you don't know, and I'm saying this to the young people in the room, you all came from kings and queens. And nobody should tell you are beneath anybody, whether it's language, whether it's the educational system that has been presented to us, which we will change. And I can see a lot of young people using creativity and innovation to change that. So let's first of all, give ourselves a little bit of slack we have a long way to go. We adopted a system that has not worked for us. And we need our leaders to come together to understand that Africa needs to help themselves. Nobody's coming to help us. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody is coming to give us the solutions that matter. We have to do this by ourselves. So I think all of us leaving this room, whatever it is that you are doing, what solution can you bring to the table that is for Africans, by Africans, moving forward? Thank you.
Yes, that deserves a round of applause. We're going to try and round up shortly because I know we're pushed for time. Right? Okay. One of the points, just to say this. So I spent 25 years of my life. After graduating, I went abroad and I never worked in Nigeria until I came back. When I came back, one of the things that shocked me was I couldn't wear my traditional outfit to work in Nigeria because I was so happy to be back home. And if I wore it in the UK or Norway, they would say, "Oh, I love your costume." "Oh, are you rebelling? This is ethnic." When I came to Nigeria, it was more stringent. I had to wear pinstripe suits. And I raised the issue. And I'm like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Because in the UK or wherever, the Indians will wear their sari proudly. We were colonized by the same people. And the question for me was, we need to be self-confident. It is our confidence or lack of, by years of brainwashing. And you see our young people that will grow up in Nigeria, they will probably tell you, "I don't speak any Nigerian language," with a smile, like, "I only speak English." Why is that good? But it's all part of the brainwashing, which is what you say. We need to help ourselves to understand that we have so many things we should be proud of, that we have been ashamed of. We should never be ashamed of our culture because those things are what made us who we are. When we go to parties, we shouldn't condemn it because we don't need a shrink. If you go to the Americans, everybody's popping a pill because they need to remind themselves of how to be happy. We are happy, yet we look down on those things that make us happy. Going back to intra-Africa trade and cross-border wealth that we need to create, we just need to have some final words from the panel members. Please, let's just make it short and sharp in 1 or 2 minutes. What do you think we should all take away? What do you recommend? All the people in the room, not just the government, individual responsibilities. What should we, no matter how little what message should you want to convey to the audience and to our decision-making bodies that could watch this video?
I would like to start with that.
Okay.
And it will be very short. If you are a government official here, a custom worker, or anyone who works in that authority, there is only one thing you have to remember. And it is this: the things that we put together as a continent is the only thing that can change the continent. The only good thing that we can do for each other is how we live. So if you have to sit down there and think that your personal interest is never going to change yourself or your future. So the things that we do for each other changes how we live. Remember this. As long as you remember this, you do you collect your policies around you, then the actual will be success.
I believe that obviously interconnectivity is super important. If as Africans we see ourselves as one family, it makes life easier. We're not competing with each other, even though I see my Ghanaian brother Mensa, we're always fighting on Jollof, and the Senegalese too. I think those kind of banters are really nice, but when it comes to trade, we need to see ourselves as allies. How do we ensure that we support each other in moving? How do we ensure that our young people can cut across each other, take different strengths and weaknesses instead of seeing ourselves as competition? For the AFCFTA to thrive, we need that compatibility. We need the differences. Okay, if today I can give you lithium, for example, and you can give me gold, for example, why can't we trade like that? When we say we discussed having one currency, I think it was the ECO at the time, and meetings were going to happen, and I have no idea what happened in the end. The whole thing fell apart. I'll ask ECOWAS and African Union what is happening with that. I believe it was Ivory Coast, yes? And so we did have, obviously, the certain outsiders that stopped that. I believe that one will help also. That would be all for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so just to add to what I said, I think our objective is more that Africa needs more coordination. We have the High Commission, I think the Gambia High Commission is putting a way to that. I know Gambia have some free trades in Gambia and all that. And the last time we met with the High Commissioner, I know they also have something like that. It's hard time Africans start believing in themselves to make things easy for Africans, to make things easy for the young men. That's why a lot of Africans, they are jabbering. They are looking for the greener pasture. Probably they will see how to look for money, but there's money in agriculture. I export ginger, for instance, and I export ginger to US, Canada, and these people come here and they have factories. All of us that is in Africa will see our farms there and there, but they come and they want to buy that your farm. But will you sell it to them? Because if you sell it tomorrow, there's no farm, you're not going to farm again. You just have to sell the tools that you have and you move ahead. Why can't I sell to my fellow Africa? Because they won't pay me. Probably they will store it and wait for the price to go up when everybody goes down sell, so then they will not sell. But when you see a European come to buy from you, you want to sell everything. That's because we don't believe in ourselves. Hard time we start believing in ourselves, the hard time Africans start believing in themselves. Thank you so much.
Okay, so one major thing which I feel we need to focus on in Africa is actually the part of infrastructure. If you take, for instance, most of the goods in the US, 80% of the transportation within the US is done using the rail system, which reduces the pressure on road network. In Africa, almost everything is done on the road. This puts so much pressure on the road, and next thing we hear, there's so many bad roads and all of that. But there's no system in place to even reduce this pressure on the roads. So that way you have so much happening on those roads at the same time damaging them. So there should be more focus on infrastructure, and also we need to focus on the manufacturing sector. Let us look for how to convert our goods to finished goods. The difference between the price of chocolate and the price of raw cocoa is about 100 times different. So you are losing almost 100x of the value of your currency if you have to import back the finished chocolate while you export the cocoa. So if we look for ways to set up the manufacturing stations here in Africa, that will actually reduce the need for some of these foreign currencies, which will make our currency stronger. I'm sure most people are not even aware that every European country has its own currency, but the euro backs it up, which kind of gives some of their currencies value. If you take the euro out of it, I'm sure a lot of their currencies are useless to all of us. So we don't want it. That's also the same thing that happens to us. All African countries have different currencies everywhere where nobody needs it. So we need to focus on infrastructure, which we will build, and also focus on ensuring that our manufacturing sectors are actually built to make things better.
Thank you.
Why don't we trust ourselves in Africa to trade? Because, truth be told, a lot of Africans lack integrity. That's the honest truth. Whether we want to admit it or not. If you go online on social media, for instance, every day there is one person swindled this person. I paid for this and they gave me this. I gave you money for A, I got W. And that has to deal with the integrity of the African person. If everyone makes it a point of duty to be intentional, tell yourself that regardless of what happens, I will be honest and I will preserve my integrity. I would rather make 50 naira on this thing and be able to sleep at night than to make 200 and I know I've swindled someone. One. And then secondly, excellence. If you're a business owner, a manufacturer, whatever it is you're doing, because everyone here is doing one thing or the other, we need to put excellence behind it. Again, why do people trust products from Europe rather than products from Africa? It's because you know that if it is a European or an American, Canadian company that is producing this quality is this. If you tell them I want it at 55% quality, that is what you get across the board. Well, Africa, we tend to start well, and then once we become popular and people know us, all of a sudden it starts to depreciate. And then as the quality is depreciating, the price is appreciating. It doesn't make any sense. So please, integrity and excellence, those should be the key words. Those are values that everyone should strive to live by. If we can have these two, Africa will be a different continent for the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I would like to appreciate the panelists and just to say finally that I'm very hopeful about Africa. I don't want to believe that we are dishonest people. I think we should also understand that we beat ourselves so hard all the time. And if you look at what's happening in the US now, would you have thought that politicians outside Africa would be so overtly in your face with what's happening? So I think what we need to do is to be more gentle on ourselves, to face the reality, but to understand that self-confidence comes from within. I'm very hopeful for Africa. When I came back to the continent, I brought my kids back and I said, you are Africans, come here and make it. Other people are coming, the Lebanese are coming, we are leaving. There's so much to be done here. There are 55 African countries. The rail network is really critical. So African Finance Corporation signed an agreement with the US and EU to build a railway from it's called the Lopito Corridor. You can Google it. And those are the kind of things that are happening. We might not know, but there is hope. And I think each and every one of us carries the responsibility to make this vision a reality. I want to thank you for your attention, and I want to thank the panelists for their honest contribution. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. So grateful. Yes, I see some hands there.
We'll get to that. I want to say thank you first of all, Mrs. Patricia and everybody for moderating this very
Panel of discussion on investment and business.
The panelists. The discussions are very, very insightful and very, very detailed. And for the ECOWAS perspective, yes, infrastructure is very important. And we've gone a long way in trying to resolve some of the infrastructural challenges. And it's a process. And infrastructure does not only mean road network. It also means data, internet connectivity. It also means aviation. So I just quickly want to give you some of the achievements or some of the things that ECOWAS is currently doing. Maybe we've not come out in the public to discuss it, but they are in the pipeline. The ECO, that is the ECO currency, we're still working on it, and I think very soon something will be mentioned in the news that we will be able to launch it very soon. And for the currency to be able to be functional, there are compatibility issues that we have to address, but we're getting there. So yes, it's not a failed dream, it's still a reality, and inshallah we'll be able to see it very soon. And there are a lot of infrastructural projects, road networks that are currently trying to complete the studies, and I just want to highlight some of them. There's this 1,028 kilometer Lagos-Abidjan corridor that is almost in its final stage. And then we have the Abidjan-Praia. Praia is Cape Verde. That's a corridor that we are also working on. And of course, my favorite, which is the Abidjan-Praia Maritime and Shipping Route. From Abidjan, there's a project being developed for the maritime shipping route. And of course, we have a 6-lane highway from Banjul, Dakar, Abidjan, linking Bissau, Freetown, and Monrovia. And of course, we have the Nigeria-Cameroon Highway and transportation facilitation programs. And of course, we have the Banjul-Bara Bridge for those who within the Banjul, Senegal vicinities. So now, these are some of the infrastructural things we're doing. And of course, we also have the electricity, which is a problem. We have some projects that we initiated, and very soon more will be completed. So now, let me go back to a little bit of the discussion that you mentioned. I think one of the problems we have as Africans that we need to talk about is leadership. And leadership is not only at the political level. Leadership at the political level, yes, at the civil service level, at the private sector level, up to the point of the community level. We have problems. One, how do we select our leaders? It's a problem. And if you select your leader because he or she has the most money, or he or she talks best, that's a problem. We have to start letting the population know that we select leaders based on the track record, on the integrity, on the vision. And based on that, we can select our leaders, and hopefully we will be able to move forward. And in Abuja, we are going the other areas that I think it comes across the whole of Africa is indiscipline. Indiscipline in why should I be bribed? Why should I bribe? Indiscipline in, you mentioned about quality. You start with very good quality, and over the years you go down in quality. Indiscipline in even the officer on the road decided to say that, okay, if you don't give me this money, I will give you a ticket. Oh no, okay, don't worry, I will not give you a ticket. Pay me. All those things are indiscipline. Indiscipline up to the point of, if you are a cleaner in the office, knowing that the importance of making sure the office is clean. Indiscipline in even the driver, when he is driving, knowing that you have to come on time and be able to deliver, take your whoever it is to the point of interaction. Indiscipline in even respecting time. When do we start on time? Why do we start on time? And how do we organize ourselves? So indiscipline is a cancer that we really have to discuss. Okay, it's not good enough just talking about it. It cuts across all spheres of our society. So we have to find ways of talking about indiscipline. Is it at the nursery school level where we start talking about why is it important to be disciplined and what is the problem? The second point, sorry, I have to just explain a little bit, is enforceability. We have all the protocols. We have all the regulations. We have all the manuals on how to register your business, how to get your license. But we do not enforce it. How do we enforce it? In the West, you will go on a train and you will not pay, maybe you will not even pay your ticket. But the day they catch you, all the days that you have not been paying your ticket, they will put on top of it. So enforceability is a problem. How do we make it? And we start from the grassroots, we go up. So that is enforceability, discipline, and lack of leadership is a problem. And ECOWAS, we're always listening. And like I said, ECOWAS were responsible for the regulation, the protocols, and the vision. But the private sector has to come in. And they have to come in, and we have to work with them so that we are able to move forward. And of course, like my sister said, we have to be positive. We have to start things slowly, and gradually we'll get there. And these are some of the discussions that we have to continue to do so that eventually we get to the right people, and inshallah we'll be able to move forward.
Thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner.
I was taught by Professor Ali Mazrui, and I have traveled around the continent of Africa by road, from Egypt to Cape Town, from Mombasa to Dakar. So there is nothing on Africa continental free trade that some of us have not been hand-on. I started this project in 1990 when I was in Unilever, and I did fish business in Gambia and salt by road. Bilateral agreement with Niger, with Cameroon. That is why you can leave Kebbi. That is only 3 hours. I used to drive from Kamba to Niamey, 4 hours. You have to come to Abuja, go to Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali before coming. So when we are talking of Africa continental free trade, I started it in 1990 under the single African market until 2012. The first thing we should realize, Africa is a continent of 55 countries. 54 are members of the WTO. Eritrea is not a member of the WTO, so also is not a member. In this continent, I need 37 visas. 16 in West Africa, 0, plus Cameroon and Chad. But to Benenoa, he cannot enter Benin. Sorry, he cannot enter Cameroon, he cannot enter Chad. So when we are talking of Africa continental free trade, some of us have been on it for years. When you talk of the single currency, the ECOWAS, that one will take me 3 hours. So during the tea break, we will do one-on-one. Because it was 10 currencies. Guinea-Bissau surrendered their currency in 1995 to the BCL, and Mauritania left us. Now remaining 8. Out of that 8, how many central banks do we have in West Africa? The Benin Republic has no governor of central bank because the currency is under the control of France. Here we talk of MPC, MPR, interest rate. Those things are not discussed in Benin. So let us know where we are coming from, where we are going. We have 42 different currencies in Africa. How many and which one is convertible?